I tried beating Terraria using the Yoyo Redux mod. This mod introduces a ton of brand new yo-yos and changes the existing yo-yos within the game to make them even more powerful than ever before. Will I be able to defeat the Moonlord only using yo-yos? Well, let's find out. I started off by spawning into the world, opening up my treasure bag, consuming all of my life crystals, my mana stars, and then checking all of the various different yo-yos added within the mod. There were tons of new yo-yos scattered throughout the entire playthrough, and all the various different yo-yos that already existed in Terraria were completely overhauled with brand new abilities, giving this entire class a brand new never before seen power. I went over to the desert and died, then I went over to the corruption and died, and upon coming back to spawn to craft our very first wooden yo-yo, we actually needed cobwebs, so I decided to dig myself a elevator, as that was probably the fastest way to get those materials. As soon as I came back to spawn, I crafted myself the wooden yo-yo, which was our very first starter weapon, and we can finally deal damage to mobs. I actually realized that we could combine the wooden yo-yo with some iron to craft ourselves the iron yo-yo. That's exactly what I did, and then I went right back down to the caverns in order to mine. I found myself a couple of life crystals, and upon coming back to spawn, I actually crafted myself a brand new yo-yo called the enchanted yo-yo. This costed us a wooden yo-yo and a fallen star. It dealt 12 melee damage and was by far the strongest yo-yo we had acquired thus yet. I tested it out on a couple of zombies and then built myself a bunch of NPC houses once it started turning to daytime. I continued digging out my elevator, scoured some underground houses for resources, picked up a bunch of different ores, killed a bunch of different mobs, found myself a blue mushroom biome, and then I went up into the clouds in order to try and get myself harpy feathers for a harpy yo-yo. I was unsuccessful, as harpies are very overpowered when you have absolutely no armor and really bad weapons, so I decided to come back to spawn, build myself an arena for the Eye of Cthulhu, summon it in, and fight it using the enchanted yo-yo. We managed to take it out, and with this, I crafted myself the Malace yo-yo. Using this, I almost immediately went to go fight the Eater of Worlds, and using the Malace, we actually dealt some pretty decent damage, got him very low, but he managed to take us out. Luckily, I got all the resources I needed to craft myself a nightmare pickaxe, so I went down to the underworld, dug up some obsidian, and upon coming back to spawn, I built myself more NPC houses, bought a mining potion, an obsidian skin potion, and then went down to dig hellstone. After acquiring enough hellstone, I came all the way back to spawn, crafted myself full molten armor, a molten pickaxe, and then I went over to the jungle, not only to farm out heart crystals, but to get myself enough resources to craft myself a jungle yo-yo. I crafted myself the Lost Ivy, and this yo-yo actually shoots out small amounts of spores that do 6 damage each. This will be a prominent theme, and the various different yo-yos of this mod are going to have these ranged abilities that get more and more powerful the further we get into the game. I went to fight the Eater of Worlds once more, and this time we actually took him out, and then after this, I waited by Skeletron's dungeon, and once it turned to nighttime, I summoned him in and absolutely destroyed him using the Lost Ivy. I went into his dungeon to collect some water candles, and then I came back to spawn to fight the Eye of Cthulhu once more. Using 2 of every single gem within Terraria, we could actually craft another yo-yo called the Prismatic Throw. This produces shards upon impact and was very fun to play around with, but after this, I went back to Skeletron's dungeon, looted as many chests as I could, and upon coming back to spawn, I went back down to the underworld and built a massive arena for the Wall of Flesh. I then tried to farm out guide voodoo demons, and I actually managed to get one quite quickly, so after this, I came all the way back to spawn and then went back down to the underworld to try and farm for the Hellfire yo-yo. This took me forever to get, and I probably spent a solid 20 minutes trying to farm it out, but since I was not getting lucky, I came back to spawn and decided to actually fight the King Slime just for fun, so you can check him off the boss checklist. Upon coming back to spawn, I got myself the Cascade yo-yo, which produces fiery explosions upon impact, and this was very powerful. The explosions dealt tons of damage, and putting this up against any boss was an absolute nightmare for the boss, of course. After this, I used the Cascade to absolutely tank through an entire goblin invasion, and then I went down to the underworld, chucked the guide voodoo doll into the lava, and fought the Wall of Flesh. Using the Cascade yo-yo, we absolutely blew flew up this wall, putting us into hard mode. Upon getting into hard mode, I went down to the corruption and started blessing the world with the hard mode ores. We got ourselves palladium, orichalcum, and titanium, and then we started the grueling pickaxe progression. I got myself a palladium pickaxe first, I got myself orichalcum, made an orichalcum anvil, an orichalcum pickaxe, and then started mining for titanium. During this time, I actually went to the underground corruption biome and started killing all the mobs there to get myself some ichor and souls of night. As soon as I came back to spawn with all the resources that I needed, I crafted myself the Nitro Yo-Yo. This was a brand new yo-yo that was actually introduced within one of the mods, and while we use it, it actually summons in a fiery blazing trail of ichor right behind it that lights up absolutely anything it touches. This was really cool, and I tried to draw a Squidward's nose using it, but after the fun ended, I decided to actually go and farm out harpies and wyverns so we can get a brand new yo-yo and a set of harpy wings. I crafted myself the harpy wings I needed, got myself full titanium armor, and then went down to the underground hallowed biome to farm out souls of light. During this time, I actually got myself the summon for Queen Bee, and then I crafted myself the summon for all of the mechanical bosses. Upon coming back to spawn, I also crafted myself a brand new yo-yo out of souls of light called the Chick. This yo-yo rapidly produces crystal shards and absolutely shreds through anything that gets in its way. I went to go fight Queen Slime using the Hellfire yo-yo, which was absolutely overpowered. This just explodes into a blazing stream of fiery projectiles, and then I also used the Nitro, taking out the Queen Slime with our very favorite green fire yo-yo. Once it turned to nighttime, I challenged the Destroyer using the Hellfire and the Nitro, and upon taking him out, I crafted myself a Holy Throw, which was a yo-yo made out of hallowed bars. This apparently ignores 10 points of enemy defense, but it wasn't really that good. I decided to take out Skeletron Prime using all the various yo-yos I had in my arsenal, and lastly, upon waiting for it to turn to nighttime once more, I summoned in and fought the twins. After taking them out, we got a prompt that the jungle now grows restless. Do you know what else grows restless, boyos? My everlasting love to each and every single one of the subscribers of the channel, so I recommend you subscribe if you want my love. Anyways, after this, I crafted myself the pickaxe axe and a brand new yo-yo out of all of the souls called Hallowed Out. It did 76 melee damage and didn't really have any special effects. During this time, I got myself a master yo-yo bag, and then using the harpy feathers that I got, I crafted myself a Valkyrie yo-yo. This fires flurries of feathers at nearby enemies and deals a ton of damage. Using this yo-yo, I went down into the jungle without a fear of dying whatsoever. We took out the Queen Bee, and then I farmed out Chlorophyte. I tried to farm out turtle shells, and during this time, I actually managed to get myself the Yelt's yo-yo. This yo-yo apparently upon impact poisons the enemies, making them take damage over time. I still believe that the Valkyrie was far better, so I decided to use that instead. I managed to craft myself a full set of turtle armor before fighting Plantera. I came back to the jungle, summoned in Plantera, and fought her without an arena whatsoever. It was kind of clutch, but we got through her, and then immediately I went over to Golem's temple, picked up a couple of lizard power cells, but before this I actually got myself a solar tablet so we could summon the solar eclipse, and then I went over to the dungeon in order to farm out ectoplasm and to try and get the Kraken. After getting the Kraken yo-yo, I fought the solar eclipse and actually managed to get the Eye of Cthulhu. Now with the Kraken and the Eye of Cthulhu, we could essentially take on anything. The Kraken had this brand new ability where it would shoot these like spiritual arms into the air and damage everything around it, and the Eye of Cthulhu yo-yo I'm pretty sure shot servants just like the Eye of Cthulhu, making it very powerful. We came back to Golem's dungeon, took him out a couple of times due to our powerful weapons, and then upon coming back to spawn, I crafted myself the pumpkin medallion and went to fight the pumpkin moon. We actually needed spooky wood in order to craft ourselves the poltergeist yo-yo, and the whole special thing about this is that it could go through walls. There was no restriction, and you could essentially just damage mobs from the safety of your own home. Once the pumpkin moon ended, I went straight over to Skeletron's dungeon and fought the lunatic cultist. We took him out quite easily using the Eye of of Cthulhu Yo-Yo, and then after this I went straight over to challenge the Nebula pillar. We took out the Nebula pillar first, took out the Vortex pillar next, I went to take out the Solar pillar, and after taking out all three of these pillars I actually crafted myself brand new yo-yos that were added by the Yoyo Redux mod of each pillar fragment. So we had things such as like the Nebula pillar, the Vortex pillar, the Solar pillar, and each one of them had their very special abilities, and using these yo-yos I fought Golem a couple of times to get myself beetle armor, and then after this I went to go take out the very last pillar, and after taking out the Stardust pillar I came back to spawn, mushed all of the celestial yo-yos, and crafted myself the fragment yo-yo. This was probably the most powerful yo-yo in the game, and with the master yo-yo bag, Moonlord stood absolutely no chance against us. As soon as he spawned in, we almost took out all three of his arms at once, and once his core was exposed, we absolutely blasted it with the fragment yo-yo and managed to take out Moonlord. After this, I went to go fight the Empress of Light to get ourselves another yo-yo, and then after combining almost every single yo-yo within the game, we crafted ourselves the End. This was the most powerful yo-yo in the entire game, and it was essentially the Zenith version of the yo-yo. We fought Moonlord with it, and after taking him out once more, we can finally say that we completed the Yoyo Redux mod. Be sure to check out another video like this on screen, consider subscribing to the channel if you're new, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. This has been Boio, peace out.